Good day, everyone. In this final video of the third 9 weeks, we are talking about logarithmics, the test, and Project 5, and dealing with real life issues. Tissue for the issues, y'all. Tissue for the issues. Right. Reminders. Project 5 is a reflection and a demonstration of your mastery of exponential and logarithmic functions. No Google allowed. Don't go there for any reason. You don't need to go there. You already have all the resources you have. All right? Use problems from examples, Math Nation, class, quiz, the Kahoot, and Mr. Howard videos. Them the sources that you could go to. You can't go nowhere else but use their sources. I told you guys this. All right? Only group work is the presentation slash slides. So project 5, when you write the paper, no one, not a soul, should be working together. This paper is your experience, your growth, your learning. So I can't be reading someone else's paper that has your name on it is coming from someone else's experience. You have to be a part of it. You was a part of it, so now you gotta talk about it. 10 pages are yours alone. Any non-compliance, it's a 0 out of 450. Check your Google Classroom because one of the things that you guys are struggling with is keeping up with Google. I do tell you guys in class, but I also always redirect you to go to Google Classroom. Always go there because sometimes we don't have time to discuss every single thing as we should. All right? Remind does not work for me. So that's why we're doing everything Google Classroom, documentation, everything that you need. All right? Good. So let's move on. All right. So in your project 5, this is what I need to see in project 5. I need to see the law of exponents, irrational exponents, explained and talked about. I have to have that there. That's one of the first things that we have ever done dealing with this unit back in January. Basics of exponents and logarithm effects seen in class. You know, again, almost everything that was taught in class was also on video. So again, that was your responsibility to keep up. I heard a lot of excuses, but unfortunately, them excuses ain't gonna work. Graph facts of logarithmic and exponential facts, transformations, and characteristics. I have to see that because that was talked about too. Solving exponential equations, keeping the basis, making the basis the same. That has to be talked about. Solving exponential word problems, solving logarithmic word problems, just posted notes. So I just posted the notes on that, and they're pretty much the same. They're not really hard to do. It's just plug and go, right? Last but not least, how do both logarithmic applications, meaning word problems, and exponential applications satisfies the precise definition of mathematics. All right? Again, do you have that in your notes somewhere? When you go to my videos, just to help you guys out, when you go to my videos to watch this one, or if you're watching it now, go to other videos and look for the definition of mathematics. I guarantee you that is there. All right? And don't forget, this had to be seen both in slides and in paper, especially as your group work, all right? So again, your group work should all be there too. Okay? So group work and your 10 pages. I have to have all that turned in Monday at 7 o'clock in the morning. All right. Don't forget, this is a reflection. Don't forget to reflect on the quiz that I gave you guys back in towards the end of January. All right. Make sure you talk about what was hard, the charms of the quiz. All right. Questions. If you was absent, you are solely focused on all the cahoots. Again, many of the cahoots we played over and over and over again, so there should be some form of growth there. Reflection. You have to reflect because I have to see that growth. You could talk about the stuff that was said, but I have to see how you mastered the material. If you just give me facts, I don't see no growth. That's going to be an issue that you have to be handled. And again, that's something that I already told you guys over and over again that the reflection on the quiz is essential piece. If it wasn't quiz, it was Kahoot. You guys who got a quiz grade, you have to talk about you are required for it. Those who do not have a quiz grade must deal with Kahoot. All right. You have to input the graphs from decimals to paper and slides. And again, I have a video with that. I showed you guys that you pay attention. Great. If you did not, well, the videos are there for you. And again, once you get to watching this video, click to another. That's a video that talks about all of that. Or when I post this video in Google Classroom, I'll put all those videos together for you. All right? Type all equations into Docs. So in your Google Docs, I should see no pictures of nothing. If they're not graphs, I want to see no pictures. I want to see you working the stuff out. I want to see the equations. All that was shown to you. I gave you guys time in class to do it. Very few asked me questions about Project 5. And so now the consequences is sink or swim. All right? Again, there I showed you guys how to look the stuff up in terms of making equations. Right? So let's move on. Only, let me repeat this once more because this is very, very, very important. Is only notes, the notes that I gave, the notes I gave in class, the notes, the videos I talked about. Math Nation and Cahoots are allowed and must be referenced. So when you're talking about stuff, they gotta be referenced. Going back to the Project 5 example that I gave, make sure you have read that example because I'm comparing you to that. If you don't have what I need, it is a problem. Rubrics. I heard people say, I need a rubric. No, you don't, because you already know what's expected of you. I already told you guys this is one of the things that I am expecting of you to do. Again, no Google or no research engine. I know some of you guys like to be slick and try other search engines. He said, well, it's not Google. I need no research engines. None. Your sources is coming from the notes. Mr. Howard's videos, Math Nation, and Cahoots are allowed and must be referenced. Once more, no photos of anything but the graphs for decimals. No compliance will result into an F. And again, I mentioned this to you guys. I told you guys time and time again to make sure you going to Google Classroom. I mentioned it a few times in class as well. Test. Your incoming test. Your test is next week, Wednesday, Thursday. Wednesday, Thursday is that. Project 5. That's what it's about. Project 5. Inverse functions. Functions systems of equations, logarithmic problems, pre slash algebra 1 things. And again, we did all these in cahoots with the exception of logarithmic problems. And that's next week. So if you miss days next week from February 27th through March 3rd, you are going to be responsible for that. You won't have a chance to make it up. So again, you must be here. All right, because again, I got a lot of stuff to read and grade. If it's not done, it's a problem. What does this matter? And this is talking about exponential functions. So this is a review of things that we did before. So exponential functions mainly deal with money and population and those kind of situations. All right, so Polly has $10 in an account that earns 5% interest compounded yearly. So that's not the worry annually, it's yearly. So don't worry about that. To this nearest cents, how much will she have in 2 years? You must use that formula B equals P, comma 1 plus rate T, where B is the balance, your final amount. P is your principal starting amount. Your R is the interest rate expressed as a decimal, and then T is the time in years. I'm going to show you two ways. On your test, you got to know both ways. All right? So, one way of doing this is just going into decimals and plugging stuff in, you know. So, let's be explain what I did here. So, that 10 is her account that she has, money that she has. All right? I don't know what B is because I'm trying to find out what B is, the balance. All right? 5%. You could put 0.05. That's 5%. That's R. And your time is 2. It's not bad. It's pretty easy. Put in decimals and bam. You will have a decimal section on there where you have to do those quick calculations. You have to be fast, like wham, bam, thank you, Pam, and keep it going, keep it trucking, waste no time. All right, so after you do this, you must do the following from there. And to do this, so I ask her this question to round to the nearest cent. So we think about money. Nearest cent is what place value? It's to the hundredths places. So the hundredths is 2 decimal places behind. In order for us to round it up, we have to do the following in decimals. Go to round. Remember, you got to go to function scroll all the way down to number theory. Click on round. Take the number. Type the number in from your original problem, the equals. And because we're talking about 2 places, which is the hundredths place, put a comma 2. And when you do that, you should get 11 and 300ths. But we're talking about money, so we put that in money terms. Well, I went ahead of myself, but that's okay. Now I'm showing you how to do the work by hand. All right? So the work by hand and on calculator is just that. It's pretty easy. Plugging stuff in, squaring it, multiplying. Whoop, that is. All right, so let's put some vocabulary to it because they ask us a question, we have to answer it. Your numbers does not answer the question. So your answer should be to a near ascending balance is $11.03. All right. Again, it's been a while since we did this, but it's pretty easy. All right. Logarithmic functions do matter. Now, I know I haven't talked about logarithmic functions. It's like, wow, Miss Al, why are you making us do this right now? Like, we test next week. Yeah, but I need for you guys to understand that logarithmic functions They are their own little situations that you have to worry about, but they're not hard to deal with. Usually they're not. And on the test, I'm not going to give you something too hard. All right, so let's do this. So for logarithmic functions, you're dealing with sound, decibel measures, earthquakes, the Richter scale, and the brightness of stars and chemistry. So this is just pH balance, talking about the acidity or the alkalinity. And we're going to get into all of that. All right. So earthquakes, let's talk about that. Richter scale is a logarithmic function that used to measure the magnitude of earthquakes. The magnitude of an earthquake is related to how much energy is released by the quake. Instruments called the seismographs detect movement in the earth. The smallest movement that can be detected shows on the seismograph as a wave with the amplitude of a knot. So a knot is just saying, the smallest amount possible. So in Louisiana, you guys don't have to deal with earthquakes. However, from the home country I'm from, being from Haiti, on my father's side, that is, and for the time I spent there, you are have to face earthquakes because the land is very mountainous. All right. A Richter scale. This is the scale you're going to be using. So again, A is the measure of the amplitude of the earthquake wave, and then A naught is just the amplitude of the smallest detectable wave that you could feel on the ground. All right. So let's go ahead and continue. All right, y'all. So here's the situation that we have to deal with. An earthquake is measured with a wave amplitude of 392 times as great as a knot. That A0 that you see, that's just a knot, and that's for my formula. What is the magnitude of the earthquake used to the Richter scale? And we have to round this to the nearest tenth. So again, since A is 392 times as large as a knot, A is going to be equals 392 a knot. And we should have to substitute this expression for A. All right. So again, that's the formula we are using. Right. From there, things cancel out. Those A knots. And we just left with 392. From there, all we gotta do is go to decimals and put that in. When we put that in, we get 2.6 when we round it to the nearest tenth. And the nearest tenth is one decimal, one number behind the decimal. All right? And don't forget, because you have to answer the question, the magnitude of an earthquake is 2.6 on the Richter scale. That's what I want to see. If you use this example, fine, but make sure you explain the piece as well. All right. So I want to show you guys pictures of the earthquake that hit in 2010 and destroyed my hometown, Haiti, which is Jacmel, south of Haiti. So look, this destroyed a little neighborhood over there. Oh, let me correct myself. No, that is Jacmel. I'm sorry. That look like Jacmel to me. That's south. All right. That knocked down the church in the capital of Haiti, which is Port-au-Prince. Okay? And that's yeah, that's a church. No, that's a supermarket. I'm sorry, y'all. And then, of course, this is a home that got knocked down from it. And yeah, I'm showing you guys these pictures because, again, I want you guys to see how math works and how this satisfy the precise definition of mathematics, which this is a situation. Again, you got to go back to that definition and, using the pictures that you see here to talk about it. All right? So, what if the earthquake was 10 times that 392 that we talked about earlier? Guess what? You just add a zero to that. That's 3,920. 3,920. Let me correct myself. From there, that's the same thing you've been doing. Just take the log of it. Go to decimals, and we'll get to the nearest tenth, which is one number behind the decimal. You get 3.6. So again, this is not hard. It's pretty easy stuff. I'm not asking y'all to do nothing crazy. Just wham, bam, thank you, pound. All right. Before I continue, let me say this about Project 5. So in Project 5, you could talk about one of the three of those things. One of the three. Okay? One or the thing. One of the three. You could talk about the earthquake stuff we just talked about, the decibel, and we're going to talk about the pH. All right. Decibel. It's just a sound measure in the logarithmic scale using that unit, well, which is called a decibel. So, police have these little devices called what is it? The loud meter or the decibel meter, something like that. So, you go into the party or something like that, and you just doing all this, all this, all that. Some police who are particular before they go converse to, about you or your party, they're going to use a little thing going to detect how loud you are. And the higher your number is, the louder you'll be. So we could talk about that a little bit further. Or you could research it on your own. All right. So here, what P is the power of the intensity of the sound, and P naught is the weakest sound that a human can hear. So again, that's just how the scales are. So let's proceed. So why is the intensity of the sound? If the intensity of the sound of the concert is 1,000,000 I not, what is the decibel level? Again, y'all concerts, y'all been to one before. They're super loud, and if you're not careful, you could lose your eardrum. So you could be deaf behind one. All right. And that's the reason why the artist who is performing, they usually like loud, especially you go to a rock concert, you like screaming like it's super loud. So let's do this. So to do a problem like this, all you have to do is the following. Plug it in. So 10 log 1,000,000 I not over I not. So up to those I nots, they're gonna cancel, they're gonna disappear. So all you have to do, y'all, and again, I know that's too many zeros. I don't got time for that. You will. You got no choice with me. Put it in decimals. And when you put in exactly as you see it, you're going to get 90. 90 is pretty loud. Like, pow. Again, not related to Project 5. Don't go to Google. Don't research this and put this on Project 5. Please don't do it. If you want to look at that for your own pleasure, then yes. But I don't want to see no research about, the decibel scale. There's something that we could talk a little bit more on, outside of that. Right now, I just want you just to see how logarithmic functions work in a real life situation. Because again, we know about exponential dealing with money and growth and stuff. So let's go. And decays too. So again, decimal is all about here. So the louder you are, pow, the higher your decibel level. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about. Y'all don't have to worry about this. Y'all don't have to worry about this. We could say this for another day. I may ask you something about this. Maybe the fourth 9 weeks as we connect all our skills and get ready for the final of Algebra 2. So do not worry about this. This is something we could talk about later. pH scale is the last thing. And again, you guys, you don't have to do all three. Just choose one of the three things to talk about. Because as I told you guys, make sure, sure, I add that you don't finish all 10 pages because you did all 10 pages. You got another thing to add. All right, pH scale. The measure of acidity of a liquid is called the pH of a liquid. This is a base amount of hydrogen ions in the liquid. The formula for pH is pH equals negative log with the brackets of positive hydrogen ions, or just hydrogen ions. All right. So yeah, you know, water, Coke, Kool-Aid, all those things. That's good. That's stuff that we're gonna be dealing with. All right. So, what about the find the pH of an orange? Given 6.5 times 10 to negative 4 power. Again, use your formula. And don't worry, on the test, I'll give you these formulas, all right? So it's no big deal. You will be given formulas, all right? So when you do that, just do the following. Plug it in. Again, you don't have to worry about the pH. Just plug in decimals, the negative log with the parentheses of 6.5 times 10 to the negative 4 power. When you put that in, you get 3.19. Or you want to put the nearest tenths, because that's the nearest hundredths. Put this 3.1. All right. Again, don't worry about this. This is something that, we could do a little later. But right now, I just want you to see the applications and stuff. So don't worry about this. It's got nothing to do with y'all. All right, the pH scale. Again, this is everyday life. So, stuff in your body is super acid, acid reflux, all that stuff. Again, we're going to talk about this the fourth 9 weeks. So keep a note on this. So this right here is just showing you. All right. So again, all you have to do is choose one of the three things. All right. And that's pretty much it. Please include this with the project 5. This will save you a little bit of time. All right. I'll be calling parents just to make sure that this little bit of information is there. And again, anything from the videos is welcome to be talked about. All right.